Can we show that website for a minute? We have 819 days until the World Cup hits the US. This is the game day of sports innovation, and I am so excited to have Kerry Carter here. He is the CEO of Atavus Football. Did I pronounce that right? Oh, you'll do a better job, okay. And thank you. And then we've got Jenna Kareth of Comcast CNBC Sports, and we've got Austin Nahora of Sony, who many of you have heard from already, but he's gonna talk about what Sony's done within sports. So thank you for joining us here today, because this is the kickoff, if I can use a pun for a second, of what we're gonna plan. I think Jim and I are already thinking we've got 819 days to do something. They're coming to New Jersey on July 16th, right? Yeah, okay. He says that the UK is gonna be in the final. Right, okay, we'll see. So why don't you come join me on stage? And then when this session is over, if you have any ideas of where we can go with programming in accordance with the World Cup in 2016, let us know. So thank you all for being here.
Go ahead, Austin. All right. Yeah, I think we're all pretty excited about what's coming up.
Yeah.
Any sports fans in here? Show of hands.
Oh, wait.
Yeah?
All right.
What about sports investors? Anybody investing in sports?
Come on, more hands for sports investors.
Well, hopefully the conversation will help that a little bit. We can keep it moving, right? Well, Austin and Jenna, thank you guys. I know it's the first time us connecting together in person. I wanted to get us started. The sports industry obviously growing at a rapid pace, sports technology specifically. What do you think is fueling that, and how are both of you at your respective organizations kind of handling that type of growth? What are you guys thinking about in those spaces? I'll start with you, Jenna, first.
So I get to lead our Comcast NBCU sports tech program. So if you're not familiar, we invest in 10 companies each year. And if you look at our company, our connections to sports run very deep. We own Wells Fargo Center, the Flyers. We hope that you are enjoying X1 and picking up the voice remote and dropping right into the sports moments you want to see, whether that is live, VOD, or streaming on Peacock. And then, if you also look through the lens of playing, like we have Sports Engine, and we know that kids who play are fans for life. So our intention is to really invest in companies that can work alongside of us and push us beyond the status quo. And that's in our sports products and fan experiences.
Absolutely. And Austin, you guys take a little bit different approach, but do you want to talk a little bit about Sony's approach?
Sure. So I'm presuming everyone watched the Super Bowl. The entire Super Bowl was captured on Sony cameras, 160 cameras around the stadium in the trucks. In addition to that, Sony itself is, I'm not sure if anyone has watched tennis and you see the yellow line and the ball going in and out, the controversial in and out. Anyone who's watched soccer or football, as the world knows it, is seeing the referee do this. What the hell is that? It's video-assisted referee, has to go back in a corner. That's all Sony technology. So the way we came out with it is by an acquisition of a company called Hawkeye Innovations in the UK back in 2011. And the program has been built up. Currently, they serve, it's mostly for officiating today. It's been built up with 23 out of the top 25 leagues and federations across the world. So pretty much all sports that you watch of, including lacrosse and everything, is all using Sony technology. And so that was through an acquisition. It was a startup that Sony had acquired years ago to be able to do it. So both on the camera side, on the sports side, and on the officiating side is where we are focused on. The venture fund, we can talk later with a different twist.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of what we see is like this convergence of like sports, media, technology for both your organizations. How do you feel like you're kind of poised to capitalize on that? Jen, I'll start with you. How are you guys approaching that?
Yeah, our approach, look, when it comes to sports rights, it's an asset class. You are buying fans. That IP is very valuable to us. So making sure that we are creating the most immersive, personalized experience possible is really important to us. So while we want to work with startups that are going to push us in our four walls across Comcast, NBCU, and Sky, and plenty of assets within our sports portfolio to play with there. We wanted it to be bigger, so we brought in external sports partners as well that really build off of all of our media rights and our sponsorship investments. And it's because we're looking for the Hawkeye when they're still at a stage that we can find them, mold them to delivering value for our business in ways that unlock new revenue, cost savings, operational efficiencies. And it's in that testing and piloting that we are able to discover, hey, are we willing to pay for this because it's an important enough need for the business? If so, they're getting revenue in to build a sustainable business. They're finding real, true product market fit, and not just in our business, but with NASCAR, with PGA Tour, Premier League, WWE. We have 3 Olympic teams in that consortium, so that gives them some real scale to build a sustainable business, and then that de-risks our initial investment. So we have had one portfolio company that we did acquire and bring into the business, and we'll have others that exit and others that just continue to bring value that build off of those investments we've already made.
Absolutely. And Austin, I know you talk about operating from both sides and 2 sides of the mind. Talk about that a little bit as it relates to the fund specifically.
Yeah, I'm here for representing the Sony Fund, Sony Ventures, and I think sports is, I feel, recession-proof, COVID-proof, everything. Within the first year of COVID, second year, I went to the University of Michigan game. There was 90,000 people in the stadium. It's like, COVID? There was COVID? Now it's happening. We're doing it. So I think it's an area where there's tremendous amount of opportunities. The brands are there. I think the rights are one of the biggest things there. But there's a lot of data that comes out of all this, and that's what we're tapping into. So we're looking at startup companies that are using data for officiating, for performance enhancement. Once the optical tracking is done on these players, and analysis can be done in real time. The coach on the sideline can be coaching. And in the backside, then we're looking at areas where in the background, where athletes are looking at this data, improving their performance, and also health and wellness. Those are the 2 key things. Because if the star athlete is injured, trust me, the team performance goes down and the team's market cap goes down because the way the athletes work and perform for the team. So those are the 3 areas we're looking at. Data used for officiating, which is what Hawkeye does, but data used for performance enhancement, for insights, and then the last one is fan engagement. So looking at those 3 themes, we have made investments, minority investments. We tend to make investments, as I've mentioned in the past, is Sony Ventures. We don't need a business unit, so we don't need Hawkeye or Sony to tell us, give the veto to invest or not invest. We make investments in adjacent and new areas. Mm-hmm. And like an example is, I'll give you one example, is it's a D2C play. Hawkeye is at this end using multiple high-end cameras to do the officiating and this. We have a company called Swing Vision. If there are any tennis fans, you can just download the application. It is using a standard phone to capture everything on the court and be helping you to provide the video to have coaches input into it, how best you can perform, including the line in and line out for a friendly match that you may have. Yeah. So we're looking at the low end coming up to the high end and the high end coming to the lower end, and there's plenty of business out there for startups.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel what you're saying. I think thinking about MLS right now and the arrival of Messi, and I don't know how many MLS fans are out here, but him playing or him being hurt makes a huge difference in viewership, right, and value of the franchise, things like that. So all the things that you're talking about from a health and wellness perspective, data perspective, how you use that data for player health specifically, I think is really big moving forward because it has these far-reaching effects, right, across the board.
It does for us in particular as well. Same thing, you're making a huge investment in those players. Mm-hmm. It can ruin an entire season, and so much business is built around, from ticketing to merchandise to so many things that it just can fall apart. And so a lot of times we look at the data for an injury prevention or load management, that type of thing on the athlete side, but then that's also really fascinating data to really help you understand the nuances of sports, mm-hmm. and how we cover it and the storytelling of it. In the Olympics, you're seeing these incredible moments. It's giving that contextual understanding of, when the gymnast is going across the floor, she's carrying 11 times her own body weight. That's like the G-force of what she's accomplishing, or the height and the swing rotation in golf. So for us, it's storytelling. It's also the athlete-player performance. And then, we also look at it too from the standpoint of any of our technicians that are going in homes. Those are also very physical jobs as well.
So just on the athlete performance side, there was another company. Actually, it was started by a guy who was a professional rugby player from Ireland. And he's developed this company called Kitman Labs. So they're working with all the big leagues, including NFL, just signed up for a multi-year deal with them. They're taking all the athletes' medical records, which is very, very confidential, and they're taking all the wellness and the injury data to be able to help the team decide. So the analytics that goes into it by taking all this data is very valuable for the teams and the athletes' performance. So it's a B2B play. They work directly with the players. Now, there's a lot of data that could be used for betting, but that's no.
Yeah, not the direction you want to go, right? Switching gears for a little bit, we're thinking about the Olympics coming up, and that makes me think about partnerships, right? And both your organizations obviously do a lot when it comes to partnerships, but Jenna, you specifically, I know you guys have partnered with Olympic teams and stuff in the past. Can you talk a little bit about how those partnerships kind of move things forward from a sports and innovation perspective?
So really, sports tech is here because of the Olympics. So we have the right to tell the stories of our Team USA athletes through 2032. It was a huge sports rights investment, and I would say it's where we have the greatest innovation playground for us as a company, because we have such expansive rights there that it allows us to really kind of break the mold on things. But I happened to be at a partner meeting that the USOC, so it wasn't even OPC at the time, brought in a bunch of large sponsors, and they candidly shared that there were other countries that were investing more in technology to help athletes on the path to the podium. And they shared 8 different strategic investment areas. It was things like intelligent video, drone technology, data analysis. And I was looking at this saying, and across those 8, 6 of them as a company, we have very deep subject matter expertise. And so, I raised my hand and said, how do we help? I think ultimately they probably wanted us to write another check. But our idea was, hey, we know how to run accelerator programs and work with these innovative startups. Let's harvest that. We can stand up an innovation engine that runs before, during, and after the Olympics. So that's what brought in ski and snowboard, USA Swimming, cycling. But then it was also our epiphany moment of, wait a minute, we sit on a ton of sports rights. We need NASCAR in this. Comcast Business powers 13 of the tracks. We do the storytelling of a 10-year title sponsorship. So it just became really interesting to craft that strategy of the sports partners to bring in. Obviously, you're not going to have Golf Channel and a 24/7 dedicated channel to golf and not have a deep relationship with PGA Tour. And so you just have this natural alignment of what are the experiences that we need to create that keep you leaning in, equally so in the living room, as much so as wanting to go to those events in person and experience it live.
Yeah. And Austin, same question for you on the partner.
What I'm noticing is that actually leagues, of course, definitely are paying attention to is the fan base. There are sports, American sports, I'm not a big baseball fan, but the age of the people who have been watching is still high, it's not come down. The NFL has that issue. Now, NFL was kind of somehow supported by a certain celebrity that helped a lot of audience to increase because of all the women came to watch the game because of a celebrity being in the audience. But what they're really trying to do is trying to do the fan engagement and bring it down to the Gen Z, Alpha, now it's the Alpha, even the millennials, how you engage with the sport and watch. And so an example is the NFL game. There's a company which also was acquired by Hawkeye called Beyond Sports. Yeah. So they did a Nickelodeon channel. They did one for the game, NFL game, the wildcard game, I think in London it was, where they used Toy Story and did animated figures with the real game, NFL. So it was good use of technology with media intake, but focused on the younger generation. Yeah. And so technology is definitely going to be used for that. A lot on the fan engagement side, more and more interactive ways of people to digest smaller pieces of content, and I'm sure Comcast NBCU is able to do it. And that's the way the league's also seriously looking at tech to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my kids love that version,
Yeah.
of course. You know, two young girls, and you know, we watched a lot of sports together, but that was probably their best memory. So every week now, they're like, "Do we get to watch that channel?"
That's right,
You know,
the channel again. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always a fun one for them. You know, you know, as we got a few minutes left here, I want to start thinking about, you know, what's getting you excited. What are the? I know, Jenna, you guys just had your cohort, you know, start up for this next season. You know, what's getting you excited about some of the companies that are coming through there, the technologies and stuff that you're excited about?
So I would say the three theme areas, it was really about unlocking data to drive business value for us. It was unlocking health and performance to get the best product out there for our sports fans. And the last was really unlocking interactivity, making it something that is not just a lean back, but it's a participatory, just the way that sports is participatory. So on the unlocking data piece of it, if you look at us as a company, we've got theme parks, we own the Flyers, we have concerts there, we're in, you know, all of these 30 million homes with internet connectivity, and streaming is moving more and more that direction around sports as well. And so how do you have all of these siloed data sets and bring them together to really figure out a way to measure and create, you know, call to action around that data in a way that really expands our business. So that was one huge key area. And Zoom and Stellar Algo are two great examples of companies that are going to help us do that and really monetize and understand the value of how to leverage some of these assets that we have. On the interactivity piece, that is truly about, you know, how do you bring in user-generated content? Like we're all fans.
Yeah.
We want to have our voice heard, right? We're fans for a reason and for different reasons. So how do we incorporate that into the storytelling aspect of things? How do we gamify things so that your daughters can, you know, play a mobile game that, you know, mimics making basketballs, you know? And so it's those types of things that create something that's really fun for all these different generations of people, whether they're in the living room or they're in the stadium. And then the last, on the performance side of it, two really exciting companies. One, Chimera, that has infrared technology woven into the fabric itself. And so it basically harvests your own natural body energy to, for sleep, recovery, help you sort of prepare for the next day. And Plantiga, that has a smart insole that can help with load management for that very same reason that you talked about, Austin, that these are huge investments in singular players that can make or break a season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a former athlete myself, Chimera, and speaking with them and hearing what they're doing, got really excited when you talk about recovery and, you know, the old injuries and sleep and things like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think, yeah, I'm excited about some of those too. So excited to see where they go. And Austin, you know, you can.
The sports area is pretty interesting. So obviously the Kidman Labs, we are hoping, because they're working with all the leagues, going to be a big exit, will make money. But the whole sports stuff from the youth side, and I know they acquired a company called Sports Engine. When I was coaching kids, we were using a lot of that, because in high school, the US market for high school sports is crazy. No one realizes how big the market is. So I think developing a platform that is allowing kids at the right age to develop the right habits, have the injury prevention, you know, at the thing, train well, it kind of adds a lot of aspects of team building, of, you know, respect, everything, just being on a team. Now, a very small funnel of that becomes people like Kerry, go play for the NFL, very small segment, but using technology to kind of encourage kids to be the next good performing athlete, but not the super athlete. I don't think everyone can make it. I think that is a key area. And technology is, there are companies that are doing it. They acquired a company doing that, but there are a lot more companies out there that we are looking at.
Yeah.
The whole youth market is huge, the amateur to youth. So like Swing Vision is amateur.
Yeah.
A lot of the people do it. But this going up to pro college level brings in more revenues, and then you go to professional, brings in more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of, looking at that youth space, I've definitely spent the last 5 or 6 years in that space myself, working with, we do analytics around tackling for performance and safety. And yeah, when you think about parents and who's really funding things at the youth and high school level, that's their focus. Their focus is truly on safety and protecting their kids and making sure that they can go out and have a great time. And I think about how much sports and sports has meant to me. It's born on an island and was able to go to Stanford University and make it to the NFL because of this platform of sports. And it's something that, I don't want to see go away. I don't want to see the game of football go away, or it can change and be adjusted, because I think there are better ways for us to do it. But as we think about these things moving forward, it's comforting to know that companies like Comcast and Sony are looking at that broadly, and I think it'll help move things forward in a very positive light. So I appreciate both of you. I appreciate your time. Appreciate all the work that you're doing to push sports and technology forward. And thanks to all of you here, James, and all you guys. We appreciate everything that you're doing here, and we hope that this platform can continue to grow. So thank you for your time.
And we're going to announce the Sports Council, so anyone interested, reach out and
absolutely.
join the group for the Sports Council.
Yeah, don't forget that. Reach
Yeah,
out to
all
Austin,
those
myself.
hands saying that you love sports.
Yeah,
We're looking
come
for you.
check us out.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.